Not tonight.
Not even in the morning when you just realized you woke up? I'm alive again today?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show that all council members are here except for Councilman Eskra, Councilman Fralin, and I believe that's it. So there is an open meeting act posted in the meeting room, which is accessible from there on the wall. We'll move on to the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having any bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of minutes of the regular meeting on June 17, 2024, as on file with the city clerk's office. Item E, approval of minutes of the work session meeting on June 17, 2024, as on file for the city in the city clerk's office. Approval F, or item F, approval of the treasurer report of claims in the amount of $728,281.76. Approval of Boswell report of claims in the amount of $15,791.07. Award of bid for Hannibal Park Improvement Parking Lot 2024 project for Lockman Carpenter Construction in the amount of $177,885.52. Resolution number 7334, entering into a hangar lease with John Cox LLC for the purpose of leasing hangar C3 located at Beatrice Municipal Airport. Item J, resolution number 7335, entering into a hangar lease with Stan Meyer for the purpose of leasing hangar E3 located at the Beatrice Municipal Airport. Item K, resolution number 7336, appointing Megan Wick to the Library Advisory Board. And item L, resolution number 7337, designating streets or portions of the streets as snow emergency routes and snow priority routes. Anyone want anything pulled off tonight?
H.
Okay. Mr. McLean?
I move the items listed on the consent agenda, with the exception of item H, be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Gentlemen, your vote, please. And that passes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We're missing one. Sorry.
6-0. I'm sorry.
I move that item H listed on the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second. I don't have a problem with it. I just couldn't get from the packet the scope of it. And I wanted to explain what it is.
Sure. So if everybody recalls, this council passed a Hannibal Park master plan a couple of years ago. So we're kind of building off that one. The next step was to build an additional parking lot out there. If anybody's been out to the facility, most any night, parking is pretty difficult to come by. Best way to kind of explain is you drive in the main road coming into Hannibal Park, and it'll be off to the right or to the east, or excuse me, west side of that road, between where the road's at and the little playground area that's back in there. That area is what gets turned into a parking lot.
So the From the tennis court south.
No, not from the tennis court. Keep going further south into the property.
I looked, I couldn't see it.
Like where that swing set's at?
Yeah, if that swing set, that kind of area in there. I'm trying to see if we have a map in here. No, maybe we do.
I couldn't bring the map. I got page 1 and page 3.
There's no map in here. So, so yes, it's practically, if you go where the concession stand's at and you go all the way to the west of there on the other side of the field, or on the other side of that road, that's where it's going to go in at. There'll be, some of it will be concrete because there'll be some handicap parking in there. There'll be a concrete curb around the entire thing to help with stormwater, so we can direct some runoff on that. As you saw, we ended up with 6 bids. I think a little bit was allotment at 178 if you just want to round up. Engineering increments 180. We've got money budgeted this year out there for Hamilton Park improvements.
I've just been through the park several times in the last few days and I couldn't figure out where it was and I looked at that and couldn't find a map, so I thought it was something.
Last time I was at the park, it was staked out.
I didn't notice it. I was there yesterday. Okay.
Any other follow-up questions? If not, your vote please. That passes 6-0. Public hearing and bids. We have a public hearing for the purpose of considering the rezoning of partial 003928200, commonly known as 25623 South 36th Road, from AG Agricultural District to RR Rural Residential District.
So again, we have several things going on. This is part of the rezone tonight. So later on, you'll have a plat coming through. You'll see they're up on the map. All the area in red is what's owned today by the owner. It's about 26 acres. They're asking to plat off the northern portion of their property, which is about 6.3 acres. And so with that plat, you'll see later tonight, the 6.3 acres, it has to be rezoned to rural residential because you have to have 10 acres to be ag. And so they made a request to have that portion rezoned as rural residential. And that's what you see tonight, the rezoning. This is on the east side of the community. So if you go out to BSCC and you go east, about just right at 2 miles is where this let me try this again. That's where that parcel is located at. They are in our 2-mile zoning jurisdiction, which would have occurred when we annexed BSDC probably about a decade ago, is when your 2-mile zoning jurisdiction would have rolled out to this particular property.
Questions up here? From the public? Sure.
Yes. You stated that the rezoning was accomplished about a decade ago.
No, not the rezoning. The rezoning is being done tonight.
Right, no, I didn't mean rezoning. I should clarify myself. Where the city zoning goes out to 36th Road, that was done.
It would have been done about the time that we annexed BSDC, which again, I think it's about a decade ago, and I have to go look at the records for certain.
9 years.
9 years ago?
That was one of my questions, because before I was under the impression that it was a half a mile west.
Okay.
And even speaking with John Rita, he remembers that it being there. And I was not aware that it got extended. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? If not, Mr. McLean, let's close the hearing.
I move the public hearing be closed at 7:07 PM.
Second.
Your vote, please. That passes 6-0. Resolutions, resolution number 7338, executing any and all settlement agreements involving the opioid litigation brought by states and local political subdivisions against Kroger, and any and all other documents necessary for the city to receive the city's direct share of settlement proceeds and/or to be eligible to receive any additional distribution or grant from the state of Nebraska's share of said proceeds.
I move that resolution number 7338 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So there are a number of these opioid settlements that are out there. We've been part of Johnson & Johnson's and Walgreens and Walmart settlements. This is another one that's coming up. This one's involving Kroger's. The city will receive some money. I don't know exactly how much. That money can only be used for fighting opioids, whether that is education or actually some type of law enforcement, something along those lines. Again, either that or the state gets our portion of the share. And so We've taken advantage of these in advance. In the past, we've become parts of these lawsuits. How much money? I don't know. Some of them are a couple $100 a year, some are about $5,000. I haven't seen on Kroger's yet to know what kind of numbers we're looking at.
Just curious.
Any discussion from the public? Your vote, please. That passes 6-0. Move on to ordinances. We have ordinance amending the zoning map for the city of Beatrice, Nebraska by changing the zoning of parcel number 003928200, commonly known as 25623 South 36th Road, from AG Agricultural District to RR Rural Residential District.
I move that said ordinance be given number 24-22, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and the said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
A motion to suspend the rules is not debatable.
Second.
And that passes 6-2. Ordinance number 2422 by number only the first time, 2422 the second time, and 2422 the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 24-22 be passed and approved.
Second.
Yeah, this is the rezoning we just discussed at the opening here, at the public hearing just not too long ago.
Anything else by anyone? If not, your vote please. And that ordinance number 2422 passes 6-0. Another ordinance approving the plat of Lot 1, Bednar subdivision, Gage County, Nebraska.
I move that said ordinance be given number 24-23, the title thereof be approved, the rules be suspended, and the said ordinance be read by number only 3 times tonight.
Second.
Motion to suspend the rules is not debatable. Your vote, please. That passes 6-0. Ordinance number 2423 by number only the first time, 2423 the second time, 2423 the third and final time.
I move that ordinance number 24-23 be passed and approved.
Any more discussion needed?
I'm so sorry.
Second. All right.
Second.
Got in a hurry. Your vote, please. That passes 6-2. Okay, number 6, we have public forum. The purpose of public forum is for the presentation of an item by the general public to the city council for consideration at a later date. No discussion or action will be taken by the city council at this time. Is anyone here for the public forum? Seeing none, we'll move on to discussion and reports, item 7. And we have one item tonight, and that's the RAISE grant update.
Yeah, I guess I'll kick it off. As everybody probably well aware at this point, the city was awarded the $21.3 million RAISE grant. This includes money for rerouting Highway 136 in the downtown area and beautification of Court Street. Next steps will be to approve a grant agreement with the federal government. We are anticipating receiving that sometime within the next month. That's what the federal government has said. Now, that being said, right, we were awarded the Safe Streets for All grant, our ADA transition plan, May 21st. And today I was scheduling a meeting with them sometime in late July to talk about what might be in the grant agreement. So it might be a little longer than a month is what I'm saying. After that, what we're looking at is right now the funds they're saying have to be obligated by September 30th of 2028 and have to be spent by September 30th of 2033.
Tobias, is there some way down the road you can put together a 8 or 10 point fact sheet of what this is and isn't? It's, I've seen in social media, property taxes, which are not involved. They thought that the amount we're getting is a bid, and if you start reading some of that, there's a lot of confusion. I think you can put it on our Facebook or some order to have so they can follow what it really is and what it really isn't.
Sure, social media is telling you the truth.
Oh yeah, I know. But it'd be nice if we could tell them the other truth.
Yeah, we can work on some of those.
I think it'd be a good idea.
So you and I spoke about this before, a couple of days after we got this, but it would be nice if they would just write us a check for the 20 plus million, so we could set in our bank account, draw interest, but do you have any idea how this would be doled out to us?
Typically, grants are reimbursement.
Well, and I understand, and I understand how they normally work, but we don't normally get a grant of $22.3 million either, so.
Right. We've had some grants here recently where they have sent us a check in advance and said, hey, spend it and then send us back receipts. I would anticipate that this will be a reimbursement, but that will be in the contract that we haven't seen yet. It will be part of those agreements.
Well, my question is, it's huge, this is real dollars, so, and you and I have the discussion, I'm gonna stop the same argument, we have this discussion about how much money we need to have in our general fund day to day, but anticipating this, do we need to be working on in the next year or two to increase our general fund so we have those dollars to spend in case it's a reimbursement grant?
Possibly. Again, part of that will come out to see
Too early?
what the agreement is, because if the turnaround time of getting reimbursed is 30 days, right, that's one thing. If it's 90 days, that's a different answer, right?
Okay.
And what I can do is I can reach out to York. York acquired this grant, I think, 2 years ago. They're still in the process of building out their trail system. I think they're putting a pedestrian overpass over Highway 180 or Highway 81 out there. I think they have not yet broken ground, is my understanding, on the trail itself. But I can give them a call and talk to them and see what their experience has been on reimbursement rates and lead times and contracts, that kind of stuff.
I think anything that you can help, like our discussion the other day, anything you can help us generally with, like Ted's talking about and Gary's talking about, because there's going to be questions. I've already got like 8 or 10 questions from people without exaggerating on it. And just so we're getting out the right information, people would be advisable. I just think the sooner that we can get that, the better off we'll be. If we can get $21 million, we need to redo our budget because we can do a lot more stuff, that's for sure. Anyway, can I have like 2 or 3 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, all right. So I just think this is like, I was thinking about this at home. This is like a time to thank people. I just do, because this is not a new project in our community at all. And I wanted to start with, I'll try not to drag this out. I wanted to start with Senator Pete Ricketts. Last Friday, his community coordinator, his liaison person, Trinity, called and congratulated us for getting the grant. And I said, thank you for having him sign and validate our letter of support, which we talked about whether we should do that or not, as evidently it was a good decision to do that. But in talking to her, I said, is that what a senator does, just kind of put his rubber stamp on something like that, and that's pretty much it? And she said, yes, but it wasn't in this case. She said, if a senator actually gave a letter of support to the Department of Transportation, they sat down one-on-one with the Secretary of Transportation, Buttigieg, and they went over that. And she said, Terry, believe it or not, they went over yours and other people's grant applications, not mine, I mean the city's grant applications. So it was worthwhile doing that. Whatever we did those 2 different times, it was definitely worthwhile what we're doing when we sent those letters in. So we need to remember that in the future. I don't know if that'll happen, but it sure as heck did here. So thank you for doing that. Let's see, Bob, I just want to personally thank you for your leadership in this. It wouldn't have got where it is today without you doing what you've done. Through the press, you did a very good article on it, in Quibi and stuff, and guiding us here. Thank you for doing that. Your transformative word was right on, I thought, the other day. So thank you for everything you've done to do with this. This is going to be great. Tobias and Taylor, if you guys, even if you already have, if you haven't taken the time to actually read the grant, there's a huge amount of data in this grant, huge. And these guys have like real jobs, and then we asked them to do that on top of it. And I know you did it for weeks and months and maybe even years, but I just want you to know that all the council, I'm positive, really appreciates the time that you guys put in on this. I mean, this is a really big deal, and if James and his staff had anything to do with that, we really appreciate if you guys would pass that on the department head meeting to them too. But thank you guys for doing this.
Thank you.
Merchant McIntyre is probably basking in their glory right now of doing this, but maybe T, the next time you're talking to them, kind of thank them a little bit more formally for our group. I think that would be appropriate. Plus, they're making this look like maybe that was one of our best decisions we made in the last 12 months around this council table, I think, and we're not done. So they've done a really good job for us so far. And it's just not here. I mean, without trying to drag this out, we had Main Street Board and all their group was behind this. Chamber of Commerce and their whole group was behind this. Engage was behind it and their whole group. That's like 75, 80 people right there that also were helping with this. So we need to thank all those people too for doing whatever they were able to do and being positive about this. I asked, no, I think I'm gonna do this differently. I think the biggest thank I have is for not just Bob and our administrative staff, but you guys that are around the table and the two guys that are not here. I mean, I asked T to go back and look. We have had, if you can believe this, 12 different meetings of some sort in the last 15 years in kind of modern history on this, whether it's around here or open forums or public hearings or public meetings where we had people. There's been a lot of discussion about this, and it wasn't just in the last 10, 15 years. I was here 40 some years ago, and it was in a comprehensive plan that long ago. I can't tell you how many times this thing came across the city council's desk. I'm just really proud of everybody here for all the votes we've taken in the last few years. They've all been 8-0 and trying to take a position on different parts of this. So I really appreciate all of you being so behind the project. And I think our last vote was almost a year ago, August of last year, when we voted to approve the concept of the whole downtown Court Street area. But it's almost been a year since that was done. But we did it, and I really appreciate it, and I think all of us appreciate each one of us. We should be proud of what we've done here, I believe. So I just want to close with, again, was sitting at home, I was trying to think, what has the ability to transform a community more than what we're talking about right now? In trying to steal Bob's word again. I couldn't think of anything except 40 some years ago when we wrote 2 grants and got $4 million over a few years, and we actually moved tons of families and businesses out of that floodplain. That was transformative for this community, and we were able to get it done with, and I think most of those people were very happy with the way we did that, and gave us our beautiful, I think some of the best city parks in all of Nebraska. We were able to get out of that and have a great trail system. That was really the last thing that I could think of that has anything close to what we're doing right here. So in my mind, that's how big a project this is. That's probably enough. I'm sorry, I'm just passionate about this. You guys know this. And I've heard me say 6 times that I just think this is one major thing that will fundamentally change our community. And I just appreciate everybody's work on this, Bob, and your leadership. I really do. Thank you for all your work on this, all the different entities that I mentioned.
Well, this would, Terry did a nice job and patted everybody here on the back, but everybody that sits on this ring, around this ring, knows that Trey was the driver on this deal, and it would have died on the vine several times without him rallying the troops and getting it pushed to the forefront. And it wasn't 40 years ago in the floodplain thing, because I was here. So I've been here 40
Probably
years.
50 years ago. I just want to make it.
It wasn't,
Maybe so.
but no, but I'm just saying, it wasn't that long ago. So,
That didn't happen overnight, did it?
no, and it didn't, but you're right. But Terry, it's no secret Terry was the driver of this and it would have died. And I just thank you so very much. I look at, that was one of the reasons that I decided to run again and because of the things that we as a group are changing and strong work, way to go.
Also, I got some communication from Senator Fisher's office. They were a big player in this as well, so we want to thank them.
Good.
You know, $21.3 million for any community is a blessing. And I know there's some people say, why do you apply for grants? And at the end of the day, that money's going to be given out to somebody. And last week it was for us. Us and I think North Platte.
Yes, they got it.
They got a planning grant. And so I guess, you know, you're right. We need the opportunity by 2033 to have a major transformation into the city. However, I will tell you that the work is just beginning. And I would challenge the hope and the help from Main Street, from Engage, from the Chamber of Commerce, and from us up here, that simply moving the highway one block is not the total answer. Now we need to go to work and we need to find the future of businesses that are going to line Court Street as we walk that down as a pedestrian-friendly community. And that is going to be taking some time, that we have to start taking those steps now of what the beautification is going to be. I mean, it's going to take some time. And I think that's the one thing we have to remember, but it's going to take a lot of partnerships and a lot of work to make this happen. And we will have something absolutely fantastic. I think all of us have gone to some places. I can remember when I walked downtown, in downtown Pueblo, Colorado, after it had been completely done. And I was thinking, wow, what can we do here? And, you know, again, Terry had the foresight and a great connection with Main Street. And so I just am absolutely pleased that we're going to have $21.3 million into our community. But it's more than that, because when you look at the number of people that will take to get this project completed, you're going to see an economic increase in sales tax, in people that are working on our projects. And again, that's another benefit that we don't also always necessarily see. So from that standpoint, I think there's a whole lot more to come. This is kind of like a baby step one. And so stay tuned for a lot more to come. And we'll have a lot more answers.
It'll be fun, watching it. I'd like to see this tied with the Lincoln and the Paddock school programs that we've got because if we can get people in town, we're gonna need houses for them. So I think we ought to move on those just as quick as we can too.
I don't disagree. You know, I think one of the things that I will just say openly to all 8 of you, you know, we've kind of set some goals out that we're trying to accomplish for the city. This was a major step. Again, we've had some things that we thought out and planned to get it done, and the more of the planning we do, the better we're going to be. But we also know that housing is an issue. I mean, you go buy a house in the city of Beatrice, there's probably 10 on the market. I'm being maybe optimistic. And so we need some more spaces to have a place for people to move to town as well. So it is a total package, Rich, you're right. So with that, you know, we're blessed, but we just need to now figure out all these next steps. I'm sure we will have a number of people that want to help us design this project to help those steps. Don't kid yourself, there's a number of architects that are probably already making notes to send letters to somebody sitting up here. And but I think it's an exciting factor that we're getting that amount of money to infuse into this community. Anybody from the audience, any comments?
Woo-hoo!
All right. With that said, I think that brings us to a close. Mr. McLean.
I move the meeting be adjourned at 7:28 p.m.
Gentlemen, your vote, please. And that passes 6-0. Thank you all for attending.
Right,
That's what I'm done with.